The pillows are fluff thanks to Miss Emily. The couch is wide enough, join the family. It's all love while we laugh at first criminalities. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup at hey, hey, hey. Come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh, please, the puppies need me. Oh, oh, please, my body is rejecting none of that fancy credential stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup and hey, hey, hey. Come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh please, the puppies need me. Oh please, my body is rejecting none of that fancy credentialed stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup that hey, hey, hey. Come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough.
Hello, Sofa Squad. How is everybody doing? I hope y'all are doing well. If you could drop those ones to make sure you can hear me. Pretty please. Thank you, Vicky. Vicky, you're always coming in super quick with that one. I do appreciate it. Hello, Emily. Hello, Tux. It's good to see y'all. Thanks for being here and keeping the cushions fluffed. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's doing well. So a couple of things, y'all. We're just going to very quickly talk about the sentence, and then we're going to watch a news clip. Or what we're going to do is watch the news clip about it, and then we're going to watch the verdict because they released it. They've also released the closing statements, but we won't do those tonight because they're longer. We might do those closing arguments. We might do this like Sunday night or something like that. I've found the rebuttals so far. So, but definitely we're gonna watch the verdict's like a 10-minute video, and then we'll watch a news clip on it just so we can see, her face, and like it's interesting seeing the judge and everybody involved or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's different. So, hey Tori, how's it going? I hope y'all are doing well. Yeah, I've got where to go. I've got my heating pad. Hold on, I gotta redo it. Hold on, please hold. Hey, Amy. Amy, thanks for sending that Google search about that the other Amish country crime. That's I want to watch his pretrial hearing. Hey, Dr. Barry, what's up? How's it going? What's shaking? I hope you and the family are doing well. So let's go ahead and just talk about it. So she was sentenced to life in prison. Okay. They were like, nope, we ain't having it. Okay, I'll check it, Amy. They were like, nope, she smoked. Okay, as she should be. Honestly, surprised she didn't get all sparky. If ever there was a situation, right? So she got that. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a news clip, and then we're going to watch the verdict. So let me find the news clip real quick. I just had it pulled up. Please hold. Your call is important to the squad. Your call is important to the squad. I had to go to the dentist earlier today. Just routine. But now everything's like super far away. And you know how you don't want to change stuff like that? Like I love my dentist. Hey Shayna. So it's like I don't want to like change it. It's like an hour and a half away. So I'm like, you know what? How often do you really go? But nonetheless. Okay, so this is about the sentence. It's 3 minutes long.
Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Delon Diller. We are going to...
Please hold. We are currently in a Paul conundrum. This is just par for the course. We have fixed the conundrum.
Begin in Chambers County, where a jury has sentenced Sarah Hartsfield to life in prison for the murder of her fifth husband. Fox 26's Jillian Hartman joins us live.
Hey,
she has
Jackie.
covered this case from the very beginning. She has the latest on this sentencing. Jillian.
Yeah, that's right. A jury sentenced Sarah Hartsfield to life in prison after she was found guilty of murdering her fifth husband, Joseph Hartsfield. Now, the jurors deliberated for less than 30 minutes before they made that decision. Take a listen to the verdict.
We, the jury, having found the defendant guilty of murder, assessed her punishment at confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for life, and in addition to such confinement, assess a fine in the amount of $10,000.
Now, Sarah Hartsfield did not show much expression when she was sentenced to life in prison after being convicted of murder in the death of her fifth husband, Joseph Hartsfield, who died in 2023 from a toxic level of insulin. Before the sentencing, both sides gave closing arguments. The defense did ask the jurors to take into account Sarah's background. She grew up in foster care, was allegedly sexually abused by her father, served in the Army, and is a mother of 4 kids. The prosecution acknowledged Sarah's trauma, but insisted that's not an excuse for her actions. They argued Sarah is unfit to be in the community and pushed for the maximum penalty. Now, in court, we heard victim impact statements from Joseph's brother and sister. They told Sarah she caused a lot of pain and suffering to their family. The sister called Sarah a master manipulator and monster who left behind a lasting trail of destruction. Now, we have video of Sarah handcuffed, being escorted by law enforcement out of the courthouse, and the Chambers County District Attorney held a press conference this morning afterwards. Take a listen.
To the Hartsfield family, thank you for your patience. We are all deeply affected by your loss, and Joseph deserved better, as did the countless other victims in the wake of Sarah Hartsfield's reign of terror for the entirety of her life. To the law enforcement and prosecutors in other jurisdictions, I hope now that we have done all the work for you, you will seek justice for the many other victims of this psychopath. And just because she has been convicted here does not assuage your sworn duty to do your job in seeking justice in your jurisdictions.
Now, we know Sarah shot and killed her ex-fiance, claiming self-defense in Minnesota. That case has been reopened. She also has allegations of arson and a murder for hire plot. Now, today I did talk to Joseph's mother after this verdict, and she tells me they finally got justice for her son. Reporting live, I'm Jillian Hartman, Fox 26 News.
Okay, Jillian, thank you.
Hold on. Okay. Y'all, I love the fact that she said to help, whatever she said, where she called her a psychopath, to bring this psychopath to justice. I was like, let's not hold back. I love it when they're just honest. You know what I'm saying? We've already done the work for you. It's all laid out here. Bring this psychopath to an end, right? I'm just like, wow. But yeah, it's like, I mean, come on. She has left a trail of destruction. Okay. Yeah, Ginger says, I doubt she feels any remorse. Oh, I'm 100% agree with you, Ginger. 100%. You know, she was sitting there like, okay, well, we'll just appeal it then and they'll see them. You know, she is in that thing, in that unit, whatever she went, whatever you call it, the jail that night, talking about, I've been wronged. I'm wrongly convicted. Probably sounds a lot like Mackenzie Shirilla. Hold on one second. Wow. Yeah, the arsons. Northwest brings up a good point. Statute of limitations probably ran out in the arsons. Some of these things you would have to question, you know, that what you just said. Dr. Berry says she probably thinks she is the victim, and I do hope they pursue the other charges. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if they can be, especially, so to me, it sounds like David Bragg, and remember, this is the former fiance that she killed and claimed it was self-defense. However, I mean, they've got the witnesses. They've already brought them up. This came up in trial, right? That to me seems like the biggest one that they could probably get another conviction out of, And again, like she said, the press conference woman, where she was like, don't look at it like, oh, we got her sentence, we don't need to do this, that, or the other. Because here's the thing, especially in this day and age where these people can get stuff thrown out over this or that, stack them. Someone like this who has done this their whole life, no, she's not. What would they say? The spots are on that leopard, honey. Yeah, the spots are on that leopard, honey. You ain't going nowhere. Okay, there's no coming back from like this level of evil, in my opinion. Now, of course, whatever, everybody can change on some level, but like to this degree, and she's gotten away with this for so long, and it's almost like even if she changed and like some kind of epiphany came over, the crimes that she's committed, the murders, all this, it's a lifetime of jail. And yeah, Peaches says, I hope her children are doing well and relieved. I know, because I mean that's the whole thing. Like imagine, so RJB, hello, and hey Jackie, she has been sentenced. She got life in prison. So yeah. Okay, now, y'all, let's go watch the verdict. Hold on, excuse me. Sorry. Let's go watch the verdict so that we can hopefully see what her face looks like when they give it. Because you saw right there where they did the moment of it where she wasn't looking at the camera. But let's see if I was wanting to see the earrings. I know that's petty, but since they were talking about she's wearing jewelry and stuff, I really want to see like what she's wearing, right? Okay, let me find it. Here it is. I said, hey, welcome to the Sofa Squad. Shooba dooba dooba shooba doo. Shooba dooba dooba doo. Okay. We're going to share the screen. I'm going to share the screen. Bump. I am very mean. Bump. Okay. Okay, y'all, here it is. And now this is one of the things that I'm talking about. Isn't it interesting that he's wearing a business suit, which is fine, but I was expecting like a robe or something. So I was like, oh, the judge is like, he looks very Texas. Thank you. The judge is just a good old boy.
Mrs. Hartsfield, if you would stand at this time.
He didn't mean no harm.
Ms. Henry, if you would read the verdict, please.
In cause number 23-DCR-0063, the state of Texas versus Sarah Hartsfield, we, the jury, find the defendant, Sarah Hartsfield, guilty of the offense of murder as alleged in the indictment.
All right, you can have a seat.
She kind of shook her head. Just a
Does
little.
anyone want me to poll the jury?
No.
All right. We're going to move to the second phase of this trial. It's much like the first phase, but won't take near as much time generally. You'll go back in the jury room. I'll give them a couple of minutes. We'll come back in. You'll hear opening statements by the state, by the defense. You'll hear witnesses from the state or the defense. And then you'll be given another charge. It'll be read to you, and we'll go through the same procedure as this first phase. So if you would go back into your room, but we'll call you out very shortly.
All rise for the jury, please.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. The defendant's deceptions, clever little half-truths, her performance, it can get over on some people. She's really convincing if you don't look too closely, if you don't ask too many questions or make her angry. But just like the spider and the fly, where the fly is drawn into the spider's webs, Joe Hartsfield unfortunately was drawn to the defendant and he got caught in her webs. Defense counsel made a lot of promises to you in open that were not fulfilled. There is no evidence, other than the defendant's own words, that she was actually under the influence of narcotics. In fact, the evidence is to the opposite. There's actually no evidence that his mismanagement of diabetes led to this heart issue that killed him. The statement that Joe's family had no evidence that she did this. Your family member is desperately trying to leave a woman who you know killed her fiance, who you know, because of her own words, that she's being investigated for a murder for hire, that you know, you have watched the violent swings in her communicating with you. And you know that your son and your brother is scared for his life. You know his worst fear. And you know he's hospitalized for that fear coming to life. And you know that the doctors who are treating him are suspicious of the same person you are, but they had no evidence. Defense counsel told you that the evidence was going to show that Joseph Hartsfield suffered a stroke. And in fact, you heard definitive testimony that that's not what happened to him. Defense counsel told you that Detective Rocks made the decision to bring her to court without any investigation, and you saw the exact opposite. You heard from Detective Rocks that she poured through the voluminous records in this case. You saw how precise she was on the stand. You knew some of the people that she spoke with in this investigation, and to call this no investigation is an incredible mischaracterization. To say that we don't know the who, the where, the when, it's just a gross mischaracterization of what you saw play out during this trial. If the defendant wanted to kill her husband, that she held a lot of contempt for, how would she do it? What is the way that provides the best defense for her? The most obvious one. And had it happened somewhere else, had it happened with a different family, she probably would have gotten away with it. But Joe's family was paying attention. The medical staff was paying attention. Detective Rocks was paying attention. Sarah miscalculated who she could do this to and where she could do it. Think back to what defense counsel has tried to draw out of witnesses when things don't matter. Think back to the second witness, Joe's sister, Jeannie Hartsfield. Think back to his mom. What was he fighting with them about? What type of diabetes Joe had? When he knew the medical records were very clear. What was the point of that? That Joe should have been low whenever every documented thing says that he ran high? The defendant thought she was the smartest person in any room and that no one could catch her and that she was going to get away with it because that's what she's always done. When defense asked the doctors, when I asked the doctors how many times they have had an insulin overdose, and then how many times they'd seen someone die of it, what was their answer? This is not something that people in this country, with the medical care that we have, that have lived with this condition for this long, die from. It is a statistical problem with how she killed him. It's a practical impossibility based on how he treated his own diabetes and how he died. Blood sugars are easy to fix. You heard this repeatedly. This is something that was throwing them off in the hospital because this is not how a body should react. If you accidentally administer too much insulin to yourself when there's not the intent to kill you, when there's not the waiting and watching you die of it, this is a treatable thing. But that's not what got to happen. That's not what happened for Joe. Because it wasn't an accident. It was the defendant making sure he got enough insulin in his body that he couldn't recover. Defense counsel wants you to focus on the fact that Joe had uncontrolled diabetes, when in reality, that uncontrol was Joe being high. And you heard his fear, his terror of being low. That was intentional on his part. He didn't want to risk being too low. But defense counsel wants you to focus on the uncontrolled part, because that much better fits their narrative of really Joe just did this to himself. But you saw the Dexcom readings. You read the medical examiner's determination. You heard the testimony from the doctors. This was something that happened to him, not because of him. And what should you make of the people that came and testified about their experiences with the defendant? Is every person in Sarah Hartsfield's life just trying to conspire against her? Or does it show statistical impossibility? I told you from the beginning, and now we're here, you've seen it, she's a performer. Another well-timed tear, another look over her shoulder to the camera, another carrying of her prop that she forgets sometimes and doesn't seem to touch unless she knows someone's watching. It's showmanship for her. Another fly caught in her web. It is really, really rare to encounter someone of this nature. And for the good of the community, for the good of the world, you 12 have to form an opinion. You have to do something. For far too long, too many people have known and have done nothing. You know what she did. There are people who didn't have faith in her being held accountable because she's really slippery. She's really effective at making a very attractive web. And she's good at tangling people so tightly into this web. But you are ready, and you have the opportunity and the duty to right this wrong. You can fix what other people have failed to do. You can stand up and you can say, enough, enough. These are the elements. These are the only elements that the state has to prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt. And we went over these in voir dire. I don't have to prove, as defense counsel continually asks, I don't have to prove how she did it. I would love to know. I would love to know how she did it, but that's not one of my elements. Did she intentionally or knowingly cause the death of Joseph Hartsfield? I don't have to prove that she's not a likable person. I don't have to prove that he is a likable person. I don't have to prove why she did it. Those are my elements that the judge just read to you in your charge. And if you find that I've met these elements beyond a reasonable doubt, and you vote anything other than not guilty, you are holding me to a higher burden, and you are violating the oath that you took. You have heard all of the admissible evidence at this point. What I say, what defense counsel says, not evidence. It's obvious that there have been things that the court has ruled are improper for you to hear. The only thing that you can consider is the evidence that came from that stand and the evidence that's been admitted in trial. And that alone is enough to prove to you that this defendant committed this act with that intent. And you know where she did it? She did it right here in our home. She did it in Chambers County. For a moment, I just want to go over the jury charge with you. The most important part of the law is on the first page. A person commits the offense of murder if she intentionally or knowingly causes the death of an individual. Those are my elements. And you heard about the law regarding extraneous offenses. And you can consider that if I've met that burden as to those offenses beyond a reasonable doubt. Some of you may think, yep, that one's proven. Some of you may think, I'm not sure on that one. That's an individual choice. What must be unanimous is your verdict of guilty. That page, I would submit to you, is the most important. And that's page 8 of the jury charge. I can't tell you if she put the needle in him herself or if she grabs his hand and uses his own hand while he's drugged by her drugs when he's unconscious, and she uses his own hand to do it. I can't tell you that, and there's a reason I can't tell you that. Because murderers hide how they murder people generally. But you get to use your reason and your logic and your common sense. And you also get to know that that's not one of my elements that defense counsel wants to hold me to. Defense counsel would have you believe that we're here today because a rogue detective performed a shoddy investigation and the state, the government, has railroaded an innocent woman. But we're here today because a woman, the defendant, murdered her husband in cold blood. That's why you have been summoned and you have sat through testimony and you have paid attention, and now is your call. And I think most of you probably know where you are. I've watched you pay attention. You can look at the evidence, of course, but when you go to the back, I would recommend that you pick a 4-person and you take a quick poll to see where you are. Some of you are probably already there. Some of you may want to look at certain things. You can request some of the evidence, you can request all the evidence, or after your poll, you can say, actually, we're good. I'm going to sit down for a moment, and defense counsel is going to be able to talk to you. And I want you to pay attention to what he says. And I want you, again, like I said in open, lean in and pay attention to what he's asking you to focus on. He is a skilled attorney. He is really, really good at his job. So don't fall into that web. Don't fall into that trap. When he's asking you to look at the whole and not the whole picture, lean in and see what he is arguing to you. What he tries to convince you is an element when it's not. Listen to how he tries to make the pieces fit that don't belong. And remember what your job is. Thank you.
Mr. Darwin?
Wow. Y'all, she was good. Hold on, let me get over here, make sure it stopped. Okay. Y'all, she was good. Okay. Yeah, Northwest said prosecutor had dinner plans. Let's get it done, jury. I mean, legit, y'all, she already knew. I mean, that jury was like, we can just go ahead and do it right now. Like, we can just hand me the paper real quick. They're like, are y'all good? You know, it was eating her being Sarah at the table, eating her up. Diane, he does look like Pierce Bronson. I've been sitting here trying to decide who he looks like. That definitely. Y'all, I mean, wow. You're right. KB says Georgia's sister from another mister. So yeah, that was interesting to see that. And there's another one, I think the rebuttal or whatever that they do. They started posting the parts that they said they would post with audio. So maybe by tomorrow it'll all come out, and we'll finish watching them on maybe over the weekend or something. As they release them and whatnot. So for those that are just joining, Sarah Hartsfield was found guilty. Sarah Hartsfield was sentenced to life in prison. So during the press conference, they called for other towns, other states to press charges against her. With all the evidence that's been collected of her past crimes, if you can press charges, to press charges. Now, it's been reported that, and she really didn't, I saw her, I felt like she shook her head just a little bit when they read the guilty verdict. I'm talking like a pretend I'm her, like just a tiny bit. I'm really surprised we didn't see more from her. Yeah, I totally expected a WrestleMania to polish this off, and we might still get one, right? Who knows? Maybe she WrestleMania when she got back to the jail. A WrestleMania situation would have not surprised me, would have been on brand at this point. Now, for people making comments like, oh, she's going to victimize people in prison, y'all, she is going to, this is what I envision. Again, how do you say the name from Goonies? Moffatelli from Goonies. Also, there was a woman, and if you know the character's name, drop in the comments. Okay. This was in Orange is the New Black, and it was the Russian woman who came in and started running the show. Do y'all know who I'm talking about? That's the vibes that she kind of reminds me of, at least my memory image of that woman. But I feel like she being Sarah, is going to fit in and become not a shot caller, but she's going to be Red. Yes, that's right. Thank y'all. Amazing memory, all of y'all. She reminds me of Red. And I just think that she's going to kind of be a figure like that's wheeling and dealing and grifting and manipulating and exploiting others. I think that she's probably very good at doing that. And I think that she will find victims in prison. People coming in, people who are, for lack of better terms, more beta, not as alpha, so on and so forth. So yeah, I think she had the one there in the restaurant. Yeah. Beach Kid says she'll play military in there. Oh, you already know she's gonna be like, look, I served. Okay, I know how this goes. And it's like, yeah, but you also killed a bunch of people. Yeah, she's gonna pull rank on everyone. Yeah, 100%. I mean, just from what we've learned of her with this, and again, I don't know the diagnosis. I'm not a doctor or any of that stuff. I don't know if she's a psychopath. I don't know if she's a narcissist, but she gives that energy, right? And so, I just think that she's going to go in there and that's going to come to the forefront. So and one thing that was interesting too with the prosecutor who just spoke, I thought she did an amazing job. And a couple of things I was thinking of. Number one, when she was sitting there talking, I was sitting here thinking, I was like, one of the things that really appeals to me listening to closing statements opening statements and closing arguments is the story format. Right. I studied English, creative writing. I like writing. I like that's one thing that draws me to true crime is the stories, whether it be the victims or the killers or both or whatever, and also listening to the story that they weave and how they tell it throughout the trial. And then obviously, to begin and end it. And so listening to her tell the story, that whole comment she made about, don't fall into her trap. She does these well-timed, tears and looking at the cameras and the prop that she forgets to use. Honey, Sarah would have come out swinging if she could. She would have come out swinging if she could over that. Okay. Period. End of story. That ate her up. but it's the truth. And I'm sure the jury saw that. I'm sure they saw all these little nuances that we obviously missed. But I have no doubt. And was the prop a Bible, or was she bringing a Bible? I felt like it was a Bible. Or was it her wedding ring? Or did she bring some kind of a form of like a cane or a walking device or something? I feel like it's a Bible. The Bible, okay. I mean, my God. Yeah, the Bible and the wedding ring. She really laid it on tight with those. I wonder if she sat there and like touched her wedding ring and would weep. Okay, also the other thing I remember now. Okay, so here's the thing. Remember when this first kicked off and we're not listened to, but like read the opening statements or whatever, and we were all kind of like, how are they going to prove this and this and the other? Okay, this to me was such a good case of having to really spell out by the prosecution, these are the elements I have to prove, which means A, B, and C. I do not have to prove D, E, and F to you. Because when they break it down like super simple, TikTok format, boom, 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 scroll, it makes much more sense. And I'm like, oh, if you just have to prove this, like I don't have to prove. It's irrelevant if she took a thing and jabbed him, or she held his hand and did it. Like that doesn't even come into the equation. This is what matters. I'm like, oh girl, you ate that all up. Go on, take a seat. Yeah, go on, take a seat, fill this forms out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like 100% they prove that. So that is just the making sure that everything is defined and understood is so important. So Sarah did not testify. The defense did not call anyone up there. There was a confusing moment on the stand where the prosecutor was just saying, where she was like, she said, and you heard her on the stand, but I think she was talking about like a doctor or one of the investigators or something like that. Because basically the way this went, remember, this is supposed to be like a 3-week trial. Okay. Sentencing is on day 8, right? And I mean, once it started going, I was like, I say this every trial, but I'm like, what could the defense possibly say? But this literally was one. Like, this is such a case of being like, yeah, when you bring up all this past stuff, it's like, girl, you better be real quiet when it comes down time to that question of, do you want to get in the stand or not? Period. Right? Like, you better not say one word, because this looks so bad. And I guess the defense realized this. And somebody said this earlier too, and this is true. They're like, I'm surprised that she couldn't even come up with a pay to play. I think Ginger, you maybe said a pay to play expert witness. And I mean, I felt the same way. I was like, why didn't they even do that? Or were they like, were they just so convinced, both Sarah and the defense, of nope, they don't have the element, they can't prove this, we're not going to say one word, they can't prove this. But then it's like, well, you would think they would know that though, unless they were living in delusion land. Or if the attorney was like, her attorney's like, honey, I'm just getting this money. Okay. Ain't no way she's getting out of this. Especially all this other stuff's coming in. No, we're going to make this real simple. We are just going to get that check. Okay. I feel like a lot of these cases we watch, I mean, granted, now also an attorney is there to make sure that the law is followed and et cetera, right? But some of them, it's like, these attorneys are grifting. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, I would love to know what they're telling them behind the scenes. And Ohio brings up a good point. Ohio says maybe they couldn't find anyone to back her story. I mean, here's the thing. It's just like she said, the prosecutor, where she was talking about the statistically, it's very difficult to die in the way that she was trying to claim he did. You know what I'm saying? And she, meaning Sarah. Or trying to not that, what I'm saying, like presenting it like, oh, well, this is kind of what happened. Remember, Sarah came up with many different stories, but that part right there, it's like, yeah, I don't know if you could find a lot of doctors who would say, sure, it was this, because it was so over here. Who knows? Yeah, just Joe says, finally got caught by karma. Amen. So, oh yeah, so real quick to answer your question, Emily said it too. So Brian Walsh was going to be what we watch next, but he is doing a competency hearing, so that's off the charts. So the next true trial that we're planning for, now we'll see what's coming down the pipeline of other smaller ones like this to follow, is Courtney Clenny, and that's in December. My personal take on that is that it will not happen. Why am I saying that? Because I'm bitter and jaded. Why is that? Well, life choices, decisions, but also because every other trial has not happened this year. Very few of them have also happened, right? So at this point, I just assume they're not going to happen. Okay. So with Courtney Clenny, it's in December. That's the beginning of the holidays. I'm just like, why would they start this trial up then? I do not think it will happen. I think it will be next year. If these trials actually all take place next year, y'all are going to need to buckle up because we might be overlapping. Okay. We might be having, Corey Richens on top of Courtney Clenny on top of Brian Walsh. I mean, it's just all these things, right? Jackie's going to be in the courtroom for Donna. Oh, so yeah. Thank you, Emily. And thank you, Jackie. Monday, the 13th, 3 p.m. We're going to be streaming Donna Adelson sentencing. You know it's going to be dramatic. You know it's going to be all that. Okay. So there's that. So we'll be following that. Now over here, what we'll be doing is we'll be like looking at, revisiting evil and looking at some of these current things going on. I want to look at the Amish. Well, there's two of them. We already watched one, but there's another one that happened. There's some small hearings like that we'll be catching up on and stuff like that until the next thing happens. And then if it looks like it's going to actually happen, so Courtney Clenny, we'll start catching up on that case like as it draws nearer. So I had like a whole big video to do on Brian Walsh, but I'm just saving it for when that actually happens. Because it was like a catch up on kind of a thing, but I'm like, I don't want to film it now until, it gets closer. So yeah, so we're just going to kind of have to see. Oh yeah, I'd have to do it. So the next ad libs video is going to be Daryl Brooks. I filmed it today. One thing that so I'm going to get better at these as I go. So one thing I realized today is I was like, I have to give the person some kind of a like pretend motivation. You know what I'm saying? So Daryl's pretend motivation was that this was going to be his chance to go viral for his rap career. So everything he spoke in was like a cheesy, cringy rap. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how it comes out. And hopefully that'll be maybe Monday or something, I think. And then tomorrow's video. Okay, so actually there is another thing. So tomorrow's video is on Donna Adelson's appeal and denial, but it's like a bad lip reading. So because I was like, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I want to make it more entertaining. So I kind of did like a bad lip reading version of it and used characters and stuff like that. And then Sunday, I looked at the, well, this is how it should go. Sunday's video is going to be, oh my God, I can't think of his name now. Paulina is the victim. I can remember the victim's name, Paulina. She was the girlfriend of a cop, and he killed her by accidentally shooting her clean his gun. Leslie is the cop's name. He was just found guilty of manslaughter. Several people emailed me and asked me to take to look at his interrogation. I did. And that one was very interesting to me because I don't know if y'all follow that or not. I'll be interested to talk to y'all about that, to get everybody's opinion on that one. Because there was some definite, I've really lived in the comment section on the videos of it. And it was very interesting seeing the opinions because it was like, yeah, something about this doesn't sound right. I mean, at minimum, it was like they went out drinking. He came back. He decides to clean his guns in front of her for the first time. She wants to get trained on how to use them. They're pointing them at each other, and he gets mixed up and doesn't realize there's a bullet in there and shoots her in the forehead. And it's like, I don't know, and he was very calm very calm at all times. I know I would love to do a collab with Scott over at True Crime Loser. He's so much fun. He's going to be doing a live comedy show. When I don't know, I think it might have already happened. Yeah, that was the thing too. So like watching him in the interview or in the interrogation where he's explaining to like a coworker, right, that has known him for a while, and he's like, I know it's bad, but number one, he said it was an accident numerous times. First of all, when he called 911, well, let's just talk about it for a second because I've been kind of dying to talk about it. I can't wait. Okay, so when he calls 911, the first thing he's like, I have an accidental shooting. Now I try and play both sides of the fence, but I'm sitting here like this. I'm like, okay, so he's a cop, so he might talk in cop language and be more like, okay, we have to describe the scene. But I'm like, I know we'll get to that part about she was naked, like that part. We're going to talk about that because a lot of people had opinions on that. It was so odd for him to come out with that. And he said that over and over. Now, here's the thing. Pretend like we could get into his brain and we knew it was truly an accident. Anybody who accidentally killed somebody would want that to be true, but I think there's another reaction that you would get. Okay. And all Carolina says, I watched the whole trial, followed it. He should have been charged with murder. What kind of man cleans his gun with a naked woman there? Everything. Yeah. So here's the thing. These are the odd things that happen. Number one, they've been going out for 2 years. That's not odd. So they go out to get drinks. They each have 3 margaritas. And they come home. He had gotten some kind of cleaning thing that he was like waiting to clean his guns. And he would say, well, sometimes, I get a little sloppy, whatever. And so he starts cleaning his gun, and Paulina basically is like, wants to train or learn or whatever. And so she's handling a gun of his. Side venture note. She's butt naked. Now he will claim, and I'm curious to get it. Let's just pause there for a second. So let's fast forward to the end result. A 911 call is placed. She is shot in the head, hand up like this. Okay. And that was a jury question. Why was her hand up when she was shot? Put that in a little sticky note. Okay. Butt naked, 3 margaritas, shoots her in the forehead. That's what the 911 comes into. He's standing behind her, holding her head or whatever, right? Okay. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, okay. So he's trying to say that it wasn't, completely abnormal, but it was kind of normal that like her way that she would walk around the house was butt naked and a blanket. She got a blanket. Okay. Yeah, I think she raised her hand to shield herself, Carolina. That's what I think, Carolina. Sorry. So I wanted to side tangent about because so many people had an issue with like she was butt naked. Like that's how he's trying to say she just walked around the house. Like, so I was like, yeah, most people. And again, I'm not trying to say like, well, most people do this, so that couldn't be right. Because it was weird to me too. Pardon me. It was weird to me too that he said like it was like, what? So she's sitting there butt naked across from you and like it doesn't make sense. Because I'm like, most people when you get home, you get comfortable. Now that could be you take your bra off, you put a big baggy shirt on, you put your gym shorts on, you get down to your boxers, something. But it's more unusual to just get straight up butt naked. So Dominic, he says that he was cleaning the gun, and y'all help me out who watched this. Basically, number one, he was saying that she was handling a gun and he was making sure that her thing was not loaded because she had never done this before. This is the first time he had ever done this training thing with her or cleaned his guns in front of her or something, like all that mixed in. Okay. So he said that they were doing dry firing and pointing in the same direction as each other and sitting across from each other. So just stop right there for 1 second. So here's a police officer who's gotten many awards, right? Drinking 3 margaritas, cleaning his gun in front of his girlfriend, teaching her how to use it, doing this, and dry firing in each other's directions at the kitchen table. His coworker had been like, what are you talking? Like, why would you even think to do? He's like, I know it sounds bad. It's like, yeah, It sounds really bad. Okay. So I never got out of it. Well, I'm sorry, I did. So, and I don't know how guns work on this level. So he put the clip in the gun and didn't realize that it forced a bullet into the chamber. So he dry fired once, it didn't do anything, and then dry fired again, and it shot her in the forehead. She was shot in the finger, so her hand was up. I personally think, and I mean, nobody will ever know, right? Nobody will ever know because sadly, the only person that could tell us is her, and he killed her. And he seems so eerily calm. The phone call, if you listen to it, and in my video, I start off with a 911 phone call, so like trigger warning. So the 911 phone call, first of all, the operator's calling him ma'am the whole time, which is like kind of funny or whatever. Because to me, he sounds like, if you ever know who I'm talking about, he sounds like Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You know what I'm talking about? Tell him Large Marge sent you. Right? That's who he sounds like on the phone. So the operator's calling him ma'am the whole time, and he's like screaming and like, oh my God. Well, then, like, however long later in the interrogation room, he's like this, like talking to his cop friend. He's like, yeah, man, I hate she's gone. And you're just kind of like, you know, but then on the stand, also, he's super chill. And I'm like, okay. Again, and I was like, well, maybe he's a cop and he's he's like supposed to be calm, but it seems so weird. And I just can't get past the whole part about the utter disregard of safety and carelessness with the story that he presented. So a lot of people in the comment sections basically felt like, you know, basically this, the good old boy system covered up. Oh, you know what, Shell? We'll look in a second. That's a good question. Basically saved him from a murder charge and got him a manslaughter charge. Hey, Deb. Leslie is the guy's name. Hold on, I'll look it up. I can't remember his last name. Hold on. Leslie Boileau. Boileau is his last name. And then Paulina Wright is the victim. She was 25 years old. Sound like a young lady that had her act together, was doing this, was doing that. So now let's look that up real quick. Hold on. Yeah, his story I went with either he is absolutely insanely careless or there's more to the story. And yeah, that's it. He is 35, I believe, or 36 or something like that. And who knows what they could have been arguing and he got mad or I don't know. So I don't believe that he just accidentally shot her in the forehead, because the fact that she was shot in the finger, and it almost could have been like an intimidation type thing. Because here's the thing, and I said this in the video too. I was like, okay, so I grew up, my dad taught me how to shoot. My dad taught me how to shoot guns, but I was not like a gun person, if that makes sense. But like I knew how to shoot a gun, you know. So obviously BB guns, a pistol, and a shotgun. I had an extremely healthy respect for weapons. It was drilled into my mind, this will kill you. You only use this in these circumstances. You treat it like it will kill you and anyone you point it at. So even now, and again, I'm not like somebody who handles, I mean, I don't know the last time. I mean, probably when I was a kid that I've handled a gun. So it's not like I'm a gun person, is what I'm trying to get at. So if I'm ever around somebody that's messing with it, it scares me to death, right? So I was sitting there thinking, like, how could she sit there? Like, I'm not buying this, that she would have been okay with him pointing a gun at her. Like, that doesn't even compute to me, right? And especially like, well, no, I'd never done this in front of her before. And I'm like, and you're dry firing in each other's directions. No, it's all sorts of broken. It's all sorts of broken. Okay, now let's look this up real quick. Please hold. I can't remember her name, but that's not going to stop us. Avante Devon. Hold on. So, okay, wait here. 3 weeks ago is the most recent. So Avante Devon is when I say local, she lives in Fayetteville, or she's incarcerated in Fayetteville. Shana and I went to a hearing, but she wasn't there. It was like a status hearing. Okay, I'm going to read this real quick. So the court proceedings for Avante Devon are delayed once again. Devon, 63, was arrested nearly 15 months ago. She's accused of murdering, dismembering, and burning the bodies of 2 of her adopted children, Blake and London. County investigators believe Blake and London starved to death. Devon faces multiple charges, including first-degree murder and kidnapping. Hold on. More than a year after her arrest, she is still awaiting her day in court. According to Cumberland County District Attorney Billy West, the prosecutors are waiting on the Fayetteville Police Department to turn over investigative files for the case. The next scheduled court date for Devon is December 11th. Let's write that down. Hold on. Please hold. Your call is important to the sofa. I said, hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sip it from the cup and hey, hey, hey. I would like to say we might try and go. Okay, let me come back to y'all. Come back to me. I'm begging you, please. Come back to me. Dun, 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 dun. Little Jan Jackson there. Okay, let's see here. Where in heavens do you live, Mama P, that you're getting out snow shovels? That's crazy. Well, Emily, it might already be cold where you're at, Emily. I know, right? We've just been having the music going today. Y'all, I am dying. We're going to have to do a live chat about this, and then I'll get ready to go. I am dying to talk to y'all about Ed Gain Monster series. I'm going to go finish it tonight. Well, I hope. I'll probably only make it through one more episode. I can't, y'all. If you haven't seen it, I'm talking brace yourself. Right? Hey, Bandit, what's up? 60s for Emily sat with 70s and low. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of like what we got going on up in here. I'm watching that again. Yeah, so I'm loving it so far. Yeah. I'm just going to say this. It's on Netflix. I'm just going to say this. Episode 5 changed me as a human. I was like, I'm speechless. If you know what I'm talking about, you already know. Episode 6 too, but like episode 5, I was like, I'm broken more so than I already was. And I didn't have much room left. Oh, the last episode. Yeah. So I've also been watching. So here's the thing with Ed Gain. he's always one of these like stories that I will go to, and I say stories like a podcast on him or a documentary to listen to is like a creepy campfire story. You see what I'm saying? And so I've always kind of known his case. Obviously, like being a horror fan, Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, Silent, like his story is so central to the characterization of many of these, you know, horror icons, if you will. And so, yeah, it's been interesting to see him, you know, not see him, but someone depicting him. Yeah, the voice part is weird to me. The voice part is weird. I say Gain. So Karen asked, how do you pronounce his last name? Some people say Ed Gein. I say Gain. It could be Gein. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, essentially he got to live, I mean, you know, I don't want to say a normal life, but like he wasn't in prison is what I'm getting at. So he probably had a much nicer life in the institution he was in. I would now like to do, and the video I'm going to make is going to kind of be like the comparison of the characters in it. Like, okay, who Gein, Ed Gein. Okay. Thank y'all. Who they really were. So like the girlfriend, if you're watching it, the neighbor or whatever, you know, she allegedly was like, no, I only really hung out with him towards the end. And like, yeah, we did this, but we weren't, you know, doing all that. And the article that came out that said that I was going to marry him, that was just a lie. I mean, would anybody want to, you know, admit to that? Right. She probably could have been like completely fascinated by the creepy stuff. And then when he got caught, I mean, she doesn't want to go to prison. And notice how, if you've watched the show, I won't do too many spoiler alerts here, but when she watched it, I'm sorry, when you watch the show and that's how they depict her experience with him as being like, yeah, we're going to get married. Yeah, we're going to do this. Yeah, we're going to do that. And then she comes out and speaks out against him. Like, I'm just as shocked. And this, and that. I mean, it's kind of what she did in real life. So, you know, is she here to say no? But and maybe superficially he was kind of like the way that and I don't know how this is in real life. The show depicts him as like, and I don't know a proper word to say it, like, you know, like maybe special needs of some sort. Like they veer on that line, at least the TV show does. I don't know if that's how he was in real life. We're not talking about the obvious level of like what he did, but like the show depicts him as like not being, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like intellectually disabled, like, yeah, so, like they try and present him as that. And I don't know if that's really how he was in real life. Yeah, can you imagine him? And if you saw it, you saw what he did with the kids that he babysat in this. I'm like, that they said, oh, that's right. They said he was diagnosed as schizophrenic. And so that makes me wonder if I would just love to see, and I don't know if there's a way to do this, to talk to people. Like, can you imagine being able to talk to somebody who was at the institution that he was at? I mean, because the stuff they were depicting him doing, yeah. I mean, if you had to ask me to what character, I mean, I guess each of them, because you can really see Alfred Hitchcock's characterization of Norman Bates, you know, with the whole mother in the room and talking to mother and all that type of stuff. But you can also see the Chainsaw Massacre thing and Silence of the Lambs dude with the skins, you know, and like him making the skins and stuff like that. Yeah, it actually episode 5 and 6, and this is like shocking for me. It actually made me like I don't want to like I'm done with food for the night, right? Like I'm finished. This has turned my stomach. Yeah, he didn't kill the other people. The way they made it out, like I don't want to spoiler alert it, but they definitely make it look like he killed a bunch more people than he really did in person or like in real life. Like it wasn't that sensationalized. You know what I'm saying? Um, and obviously he was able to get away with it. I mean, back they didn't have the technology they had back then. And he was just, and that's where it's kind of like, you know, so the Chainsaw Massacre tie-in and like filming the video is they used Ed as inspiration for Leatherface with wearing the mask and all that kind of stuff. And so that's where they're showing bringing these movie productions into it. I do feel like the show, if I one critique I have it is how they go off on these side ventures. I felt like they could have, and it's like, yeah, do a nod to that because Ed is such a blueprint for some of these horror icon movies and stuff like that. But they could have reeled that in a little bit more. Like he's so horrifying himself. It was almost like, oh, I didn't need to go off on the adventure with Alfred Hitchcock and Toby, what's his name from Chainsaw Massacre. You know, I heard next season is going to be Lizzie Borden, which should be interesting. That's another kind of like old true crime campfire tale. Yeah, this one definitely might if I know, right? It makes me want to go. I have a collector's edition. Where is it? Of all four. I need to get a DVD player. It has all 4 of the Psychos in it. I haven't seen the Game of Thrones. I don't know if it's more gory than that. Yeah, I think one reason like with this is because it's like not real, but like it's depicting something that was real or whatever. It makes it that much worse. I don't know. The whole thing with him and like what this show does that makes my stomach just like a pit drop in it is how they depict, and this is probably how it was. I'm trying to think of like a generic way to say it. Ed's way of interacting with dead bodies and the intimacy of that and the normalcy of it to him, especially when they showed what he did to the woman on the kitchen table. And I'm not going to spoiler it for people, but like that scene like disturbed me. And I was like, I can't, I mean, I was dying. And I think that was like, so, because it was like, this is what this guy was probably doing. It was also like Jeffrey Dahmer when they're showing him like, you know, with just like random heads in the refrigerator. And, you know, I mean, that just, I mean, to keep dead bodies and talk to them like they're real. You know what I'm saying? Like that, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. So, Citizen X free. Oh wait, I think I saw that. Is that the one? And I don't want to spoiler alert. Is that I'll just say this, Emily. Is that the one that had the curb thing happen on the sidewalk? I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, psychological thrillers bother me the most because there's an element of like it's just like this, like you know, this it happened. This is maybe what this was like, and that's where I'm like, oh my gosh, Russian serial killer. Maybe I haven't seen that one. Another scary one, or not scary one, well scary, but one that like disturbed me. Well, all of them, but especially the first one, Human Centipede. Y'all, I can't. That was so disturbing. I was like, oh my God. The other ones kind of were disturbing, but they became more like comical and like over the top. And the first one was like, this has probably happened. Oh, I'm thinking of American History X with the curb scene. Yeah. I have not seen Citizen X then. I'll look that up. Yeah, Centipede was disturbing. That was like a new level. Yeah, that's one of those like horror films that you gotta like, it's like body horror and you just gotta like, put it over there to the side. It's not for everybody. You might be totally cool watching all the Friday the 13th and all that, but Human Centipede is a whole other level. It was not real. They might have depicted it as like, based on true story, but again, I mean, it was just like that movie Hostel, the original. I'm like, oh, please. That goes on, right? There's like super rich people that are just like, I want to know what it's like to kill somebody. And there's a place where you can go and pay for that, period, right? That's what freaked me out about that movie. Obviously, there's sequels to it, but like the first time you watch it and you're like, oh, you absolutely know that this is probably real, in some fashion. Ooh, Richard Speck is another one. South Park to the Human Centipede. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, Hostel disturbed me just because of like, this is probably going on right now somewhere. Yes, Snuff. I remember the whole Snuff movie. And I remember when Chainsaw Massacre came out. It wasn't a Snuff movie, but it had the allure of like, it was that disturbing. Yeah, Richard Speck was another. That's another one like that story disturbs me, but it's like such a historic true crime case or whatever. Yeah, I think there's a lot of urban myths surrounding snuff films, and I think there probably some are real. And then again, I'm sure some way those like it's a true thing or whatever. Nothing I plays at this point in time. Yeah, the one woman who survived that evening, can you imagine? Oh my God. Can you imagine? Sitting there just covered in dead bodies, like being like, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. This is the only way I'll live. There's no way. Okay. So, y'all, I am going to run. It's time to go basically just retire to the sofa and go to sleep. So we will figure out what we're going to do. I'll figure out tomorrow. I'm going to gather the videos of the rest of the other videos for this trial that we haven't seen yet. I think there's like some, like maybe the defense closing and something else like that. And we'll figure out when we're going to watch those. Either Saturday or Sunday, we're going to do like the little, the sofa, the sidebar. We've got Business showing out in court. They wheeled her in there. Oh my God, y'all, I can't. So we're going to talk about general updates and stuff like that, like we do, and catch up on all the other stuff that we haven't been looking at this week because we've been doing Sarah Hartsfield. So anyways, that's it. Thank y'all for watching this with me. Thank you for the fun conversation. This was nice. I needed this. And thank you, mods, for keeping the cushions fluffed. I do love y'all. I do appreciate you. And I love you too, squad. So that's it. I hope everybody has a wonderful Friday. Y'all have a good evening. I'll see y'all tomorrow at some point.
The pillows are fluffed thanks to Miss Emily. The couch is wide enough, join the family. It's all love while we laugh at first criminalities. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup at hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh, please, the puppies need me. Oh, oh, please, my body is rejecting none of that fancy credential stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup and hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh please, the puppies need me. Oh please, my body is rejecting none of that fancy credentialed stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup that hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough.